Well, hello everyone from the bridge of the Here's to Us, What Yacht To Do. We are getting ready to start the engines here, moving from our winter nest. So we have double checked everything, triple checked everything, because we're a little rusty. So today we're going to go to River Forest. We're heading up toward the Okeechobee on the Caloosahatchee River. It's a distance of about 55 miles. We have 3 locks. We have this little itty-bitty lock that the doors may be open, the Chiquita lock. And then from there we'll be heading to the W.P. Franklin lock. And then through the Orotona lock we'll be going up in height about 2 and maybe 8 feet. W.P. Franklin 2 feet and maybe 8 feet up on the Orotona lock. And then right after that we'll be turning to starboard into River Forest Marina. So 55 miles and let's go.
Well, today's the day. It's finally here. Leaving Cape Coral Harbor. I guess it's called Cape Harbor. It's a safe harbor. And this was our winter home base. Had a really good time here, met a lot of great people. We had the very first spot here in the corner, so he's getting us out of here gingerly. Do you need me to look in the back? There's plenty of room in the back. There's a row of, well, dock back there, but there's tons of space in here. Need to unfurl the flag, let it blow in the breeze. Our friend Vicky out there with her camera. Docked right next to them, you see an empty spot, and that's where some new loopers started out. You got it? Thanks, Vicky. All right, we'll see you later. Nice and easy. Sam said it's just like riding a bike. He hasn't moved the boat for about 2 months now, and and he is not having any trouble at all. Shout out to Tammy and Mark. That's their boat over there. Had a fun dock tales with them. You're looking good, Sam. Got the green light. All right, gonna line this up for this tiny little lock. You're lined up perfectly. Yep, beautiful. Am I in your way? Yeah, looks great. Yep, it's perfect. Perfect. Great. Yeah. Okay. Here, it's beautiful, Sam. Got enough room on both sides, looking real good. Look at that sunrise sky. Looking good. Okay. Huh? Yep. Looks good. Sure. Really nice. good. Great. Straight out. Yeah, really nice. Now we're headed down the channel from Cape Harbour out to our big adventure.
Yeah, the Caloosahatchee River. We'll intersect the Caloosahatchee and then get on the way. A number of bridges up toward the Fort Myers area. And then, of course, the locks. So.
Yay, locks!
Yeah.
Coming up to this bridge, we're headed to Fort Myers. And there's a boat under there, so Sam slowed down a bit to let them go first.
Well, after we crossed under this bridge, I noticed something funky going on with my voltmeters. One of them was not responding and the other one was giving me erroneous information. So there is something going on with the voltmeters, the charging system, and that comes from the alternators. So I think it's time to find a place to get this fixed, because we are not going to go on further with an issue across the Okeechobee. So the logical choice was to go to Legacy Harbor, where we had been before, and also knew of a great mechanic there, so that's what we did.
It's kind of a tight fit for us, huh? Gotcha. You're passing the piling now. Not clear the dock yet. You're clear. You can turn. We got more room without that dinghy on the back. Forgot to unfurl the flag. I was glad that we hadn't done it yet because we had some fierce, fierce winds.
So we're still on our trip from Cape Coral, although you'll notice I have a different shirt on. And that's because it was about 4 days ago that we got to Fort Myers, had to duck in there for an electrical issue, a charging issue. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on, and how what's going on in your engine room, some of the systems are related whether you think about it or not. So this one kind of surprised me, so we'll talk about it later. We're going to go up the Caloosahatchee River. We're on a rising tide right now. We have all three of our navigation programs going, and we know that the red is on the port side and the green is on the starboard side. We got our little reminder going here. Engines are warming up nicely. Everything is operating a-okay. So our intentions now are, instead of going to River Forest, which they can't take us because it is the start of, believe it or not, people are getting prepared for hurricane season, and I guess they'll be storing their boats for whatever reason. So we're not an owner there, and I guess what'll happen is we're going to go to Moorhaven, the city dock there, and stay for at least 1 day, maybe 2, because we want to go to Roland Martin Marina in Clewiston, and they couldn't take us as we kept changing our reservations, thinking we'd be fixed 1 day, the next day. And again, more about that later on what the nature of the issue was and how it got fixed, and maybe you'll learn something about boat systems. I surely did. So we will probably stay at Moorhaven at the city dock for 2 nights. You can stay there for a maximum of 5 nights and get around and just kind of explore Moorhaven, and then on Sunday night they'll be able to take us into Roland Martin. It'll be a short journey from there, so we'll get in early and be able to enjoy the ambience of Roland Martin, which I've heard a lot about. in particular, everybody tells me you got to check out the live bait machine. I guess there's a machine that you could get live bait out of. We'll see. And of course the tiki bar. So looking forward to finally getting underway with all of the systems are really go now. So we'll update you as we go along on the journey. Right now we're at about mile 133 on the Caloosahatchee, heading eastbound toward Stewart. Probably be in Stewart in about 3 days, 3 to 4 days, based on our schedule now. So proceeding along the Caloosahatchee, up the Caloosahatchee, and in front of us we have a railroad bridge that is normally open, and it says normally open except when there's trains coming, which would make sense. But knowing that is, well, how do you know when a train's coming? I guess I don't know. So if a train comes, they're probably going to close that thing well ahead of time, and depending on the length of the train, maybe out here waiting for the bridge to go back open. So anyway, looks like the bridge is up, and we're going to be proceeding through that. So still going upbound, about mile 126 is the Route 31 bridge, and a little bit of a marina here. So we've slowed it down not only for the marina, but making sure that we're no wake going through the bridge. Franklin Lock, motor vessel here's to us.
This is Franklin Lock. I'm assuming you're the eastbound?
Yes, ma'am, eastbound, looking for lift.
Roger that. I'll start lowering the chamber here in just a moment. When you get a green light, come in on your starboard side. Just make sure life vests are on before you come in, please.
Alright, life vest and tie on the starboard, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Definitely. I thought I saw some action up here when the gates were opening. I got my eye out to watch manatee around. I am recording. Yeah, see how those gates are recessed and you can't even hardly see where they are. Where are you, manatee?
So we got a bridge coming up here. We are about mile 116 and a half eastbound on the Caloosahatchee, and that is 23 feet reading. So we have plenty of room on that bridge. However, if you are higher, you can get it open on request. You can see that green board out there to the center, or out to the starboard side, I mean. And it says bridge clearance at center. So on this one, you don't get the extra. So imagine that, 23 feet. So we're going through and we're slowed down. Plenty of room.
Sam's writing down his important stuff in his book, but from the time that we left Cape Coral and got over here to the Caloosahatchee, is that how you say it?
Yes.
Caloosahatchee, interesting name, but it has been such a pleasant ride down this river, and there have been some beautiful homes along the way. It's just, the sun came out, the clouds went away. It's been a beautiful trip. Cutting across the tip of Florida. A lot of people down here didn't even, well, not here, but a lot of people we've talked to didn't know that you could cut through Florida and not go down to the Keys. But here we are, cutting through Florida.
Saves about, I think they say about 160, 170 miles by cutting across this way, and it is more, I don't know, relaxing.
It is very relaxing, definitely.
Some different scenery, and also, as Rev and I have found out, locks are a little bit different. So just when we thought, gosh, we had seen everything, we've seen some different ways to lock through, and we'll tell you about those. Once we get through the Fort Denard swing bridge, which will be in about 10 miles or so, 10 minutes, we'll have a little bit of time to share with you what went wrong, so stay tuned.
What went wrong?
What went wrong with our electrical system.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so stay tuned. We're at mile 108.2 and we're at the Fort Denard swing bridge. There's a fast sea ray that gave us a slow pass, and he got up here and she said, well, you're going to have to wait until both boats get there, and so she's going to open it. So we're back, and he's got one of those fancy boats where he just is pressing a button and he's going to hover, so we're going to stay behind him.
Thank you.
Underway, about 45-50 minutes away from hitting the Ortona lock, and that'll be our last lock for today. We'll be going into Moore Haven, but let me talk a little bit about what happened to the Here's to Us, and just one of those things. Well, so we came out of Cape Harbour, got on the Caloosahatchee River, and as I pushed it up, I noticed my voltmeters, which tell me the health of the electrical system. One of them was not charging at all, and the other one was giving me some funky readings, and then finally it went away. So obviously a charging problem to the batteries. Went down and I started the generator. They're charging okay. So the charging system is working okay. So it's pinned down to both alternators, which is weird because it's like if you have a twin engine airplane, having both engines fail at the same time, which is highly unlikely. So there's an issue of some kind. We were 5 miles away from Legacy Harbor, and we knew there was a mechanic there. So we called and not only got a slip there, but we got the mechanic. And luckily this mechanic was on board about 1 hour after we docked and assessed the problem. And the problem was that neither alternator was putting out. Okay, so, all right, well, we've got dual alternator failure, but we also had some other issues with the batteries and the inverter that I'll explain in a bit here. So, it took about 2 days to get the alternators back, and during that time, the shop said, wow, these alternators were full of oil. And why is that? Well, we had both alternators done about 2 years ago, but probably at 100, 200 hours after that, I started noticing some oil on the bottom of my blowers in the engine room, and I was like, why is that? Because we had the blowers redone. I thought maybe some residual oil that was in there dripping, and so I would wipe it off. Well, finally, when we got to our place where we were going to have scheduled maintenance, we back in St. Louis at Polestar Marina, the mechanic looked at it and said, the oil is coming from the turbos. The turbos are leaking. When have you had the turbos done? And I said, never. So it was time for the turbos to be done, because at that time there was about 1,200 hours on the motors. So the turbos were pulled. But here's what happened was oil in the engine room air during those about 400 hours or so that we had put on the Here's to Us, 350, 400 hours, had absorbed into the alternators and at some point they go like, hey, we're not going to work anymore. Who knows? So both of the internal regulators in the alternators were out, and so while you're underway, the only way to charge that house battery, or the only way to charge the starting battery, is through the engine. So one of the engines takes care of the starting battery, one of the engines takes care of the house bank battery. So in further investigation we've changed an operating procedure on the battery switch, number one. And number two is the mechanic noticed that the inverter charger that we have on board was putting out a bunch of amps and charging that battery really fast. So we went into the software of that inverter charger and stepped down the maximum number of amps that went into there. So fixing the alternators, getting those removed, rebuilt, replaced, changing the software in the inverter charger, and also a change in the operating procedures, I think we've got it licked now. We're currently running right now. We're on battery bank 1, which is the house battery. That's the 4 golf cart batteries that are battery bank 1. And Rev was able to go downstairs through the use of the inverter, which is always on, and able to put the microwave on, and I watched the volts up here, and it went down a little bit, and then when she stopped it went back up. So the charging system is working great on that side. And then the other side, the 8D starting battery, that's currently being charged by the engine, one of the engines. And so we not only fixed it, but we learned a little bit about our boat, and really that is something that you will find when you have problems. You'll learn a little bit more about your boat, particularly if you have a great mechanic that can converse with you and understand how you're using the boat, what are you doing. He asked a lot of questions and he helped me out. So a shout out to Roland and George who came on the boat, straightened things out, and we're happy and moving along. Port tunnel lock, this up here to us.
Port tunnel lock, go ahead.
Yeah, we're eastbound. We're about 5 or 6 minutes away.
Copy that, Cap. Get the locks turned around and give me the green light.
All right, thank you very much. All right.
Port tunnel lock. Thank you. Have a good day.
Ready? Okay. All right. All right. We're all clear. All clear. No, you need to get the back about a foot. Good, good. Okay. Looking good.
Well, we made it. 69.1 miles. We just finished up all the paperwork and the dog here. Got her tied down. We are at the River House Marina, it says up there, River House Marina. And we wanted to stay for 2 nights, although we're kind of in a flex mode because if Roland Martin can take us tomorrow, we're going to leave from here. If they don't, we're just going to slide down to the city dock once that becomes available in the morning. And everything is right here. So we're going to get out and explore Moore Haven, Florida on the western side of Okeechobee. So thanks for coming along today on this journey, 2-part journey. And we'll see you next time on What Yacht To Do.